Everyone's asking whether they should start a free or paid community, but that's the wrong question. And it's why so many creators launch a community, get crickets, and then quit within 30 days. So here's what to ask instead. Where does your audience currently live? And what's the very next step that you need them to take? Because this is what most creators already miss. If you already have a decent sized audience, then your content is your free community. You don't need to build another one. And trying to do that might be the exact reason why you're not making money yet. So in this video, I'll give you a few important points to consider when choosing whether free or paid or both is right for your online community, plus the best order to build them in. And by the way, I'm Ryan Ellis. I'm a full-time creator in the music niche, and I run a free and paid community on a platform called Sphere. And I've made some of the mistakes I'm about to warn you about so that you don't have to. Now, let's go ahead and kick things off with the key first point in this free versus paid community debate, which is understanding the customer journey. Point number one is that you need to understand the customer journey. Every creator business is basically just a giant funnel. There's a wide and free top and a narrow paid bottom where your most devoted fans actually pay you for your work. Now, the mistake every creator makes is picking a community type without knowing which part of the funnel you're actually missing. See this customer journey laid out? Think of it as the following 5 stages. Stranger, which means they've never heard of you but they're online somewhere. A viewer, which means they've consumed your content through search or social media recommendations. A subscriber that's given you their contact info either via email list, community sign up, or a newsletter. A customer, which means they've spent some money with you. Or a superfan, which means they've got an ongoing and enthusiastic paid relationship with you. Now, when you think of the customer journey this way, you can see why it's crazy to take a viewer and try and convert them into a paid community or a superfan right away. You're basically asking them to skip over 3 levels of engagement in a single step. And most people just won't do it unless your community topic is dialed in 110%. So let's go ahead and break this down using my own example. I have a YouTube, an Instagram, a TikTok, and a website. These are places where potential followers can find me and engage with me, essentially turning strangers into viewers. And from there, I have an email list and a free community where people can take the next step to show a greater level of commitment, and that's turning viewers into subscribers. On my email list and in my free community, I have plenty of one-off digital products, courses, and lessons people can purchase from me. And that's what makes them a paying customer of mine. Lastly, I have a paid membership option where customers can engage with me on an ongoing basis. And those are my superfans. Now, this is somewhat of an oversimplification because some people stay in the viewer stage and get super jazzed about your content and jump straight into the superfan stage, while others may lurk in your email list or your free community and buy something 3 years later. And you can't predict the exact path that any single potential customer is going to take, but you can get a really clear sense of the customer journey and make sure that you've covered your bases at each of these stages to maximize your profit potential. So now I want you to think about your own creator business. If you're producing content on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Substack, a podcast, email, or even a book, then you do have an audience somewhere. That's the viewer or reader stage of the customer journey. The free top of funnel presence, and this is you mastering the attention game. But I want you to switch over to mastering the ownership game instead. You need a way to actually monetize that presence, which means a free community can facilitate that more bottom of funnel process, which is great, but only a paid community can really give you the deepest, most reliable monetization of your audience. So now that you know your audience and their customer journey a little bit better, it's time to look inward at your own business and answer a few tough questions. And which brings me to point number 2. We need to gauge your commitment level to understand what kind of community you should actually build. So first question is, how serious are you? Is this community a side project or is it going to be a core part of your business? Question 2, how warm is your audience? Do you have a steady flow of people discovering you or are you still building visibility? Depending on your answers here, you'll have a more important decision to make. Firstly, on the idea of commitment level, I think it's important to recognize the difference between a community as something you're trying out versus something that's a core part of your creator business, or in some cases, your entire business. If your community is more of a side hustle or just a small piece of your overall customer journey, then by all means, keep it free. But on the other hand, if you're serious about providing value with your online community and leveraging it to make real money online, then I would launch a paid community instead. This decision on your commitment level is more important than you may realize at first, because the big community owners are working their butts off in their communities, posting daily, going live, answering people's questions and discussions, hopping on one-on-ones and group calls, and doing everything they can to make their community members successful in whatever their thing is. And the truth is, you can't ask for big money without offering big value. In my community, I have a free layer where people can engage in a few limited topics in the discussions area, but I'm doing so much more in this community than just monitoring a few discussions. In my paid community, that's where I publish my guitar tabs, behind the scenes for unreleased videos, and I keep the more tactical and useful community discussions while sharing new song releases and host my courses. And the point is, I'm offering a ton of value in my paid community tier, value that goes far beyond what I give away on the free top of funnel areas of my ecosystem like YouTube, Instagram, and even the free layer of my community. All right, so gut check time then. Are you prepared to do what it takes to make your paid community truly worth paying for? And if so, at what level? Because I've got a lot more to say on that in a minute here. Now, before you can pick free or paid, you need to answer one key question that most creators can't, which is why would anyone join this community in the first place? If you can't articulate the value clearly, no pricing model will save it. So go ahead and pause this video right now and write that down. I'll wait a sec. So now I want to map out the different paths I recommend depending on your current audience and your commitment level. I call this the creator community crossroads because it sounds kind of cool with the 3 C's, you know, the alliteration and all that. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive into it. Which type of community should you start? So the creator community crossroads is a simple matrix that should help you decide what type of community is best for you. On the y-axis, we have your commitment level. Is this community a side project or is it your actual business? On the x-axis, we have your audience size. Are you still growing your reach and visibility, or do you already have a sizable devoted audience? But let's go through this matrix real quick. The 4 options are: with a side project and a small audience, you want to do a free community. With a main thing and a small audience, you want to do a free community with a paid layer, and that's where I'm at, by the way. And then with a side project and a large audience, you do a low lift niche paid community. And lastly, with the main thing and a large audience, you want to do a high ticket paid community. Hopefully that already makes sense, but let me give you a little bit more context on the 2 main paths you can follow from here, depending on where you're starting from. Path A is the established creator. You want to go straight to paid. So if you're already well established with a large audience, your content is doing the crucial warming up work, converting strangers into viewers and viewers into subscribers, at that point, a free community just duplicates effort and dilutes urgency. It also could potentially cheapen your brand. You have a massive audience, but you're not charging for your exclusive community with all that it has to offer. You're kind of doing yourself a disservice there. Instead, a paid community concentrates your superfans. It gives you much needed recurring revenue and creates a valuable next step for the people who already love you. Now, in the wide realm of paid, there's a world of difference between pricing levels. On the low ticket end, say $10 to $30 a month, you can run this as an always open community. People from any of your content or emails can go and join when they want to, and you'll have a clear landing page, a checkout button, all of it's done. But if you're charging at a mid-ticket or high-ticket price point, say $100 a month or maybe $1,000 of one-time payment price for lifetime access, then you need a sales layer. And that means live touch points, workshops, Q&A, discussions or calls, launch windows, maybe even discovery calls. Most people don't drop serious money from a link to a community, even if they really like you as a creator. They need to feel out the room first, which is definitely something to prepare for if you're going for the high ticket route. Now, one last thing, even some well-established creators will still opt to run a free community as a discovery layer, and that's fine. My point isn't that free is bad, it's just that the paid tier has to be the ultimate destination for your customer journey, not an afterthought. If you have a huge audience and you're only managing a free community, you either need extremely high ticket offerings to upsell them into from there, or you need to make the switch to a paid community as soon as you can. Now, if you don't have a large established audience yet, go ahead and listen up. I've got the path you need to follow, which is path B, the emerging creator. Free community first, possibly with the paid layer, and we want to go back to our customer journey idea here. The problem with a straight up paid community for a small or limited audience is that there's no way for them to know you yet. You really need a warm up zone before people will pay for something, and for that, a free community is honestly perfect. Now, there are 2 flavors here though, a free community that leads into a separate paid community or a paid tier inside of your free community. Personally, I'm a big fan of the second option. It's what I did actually. And I like that there's a little bit more FOMO for the free members, you know? They're reminded about the value they're not getting that the paid members do get. But a free community as a discovery or warm-up layer that funnels people into a separate paid community can work too. You just have to be good about maintaining both communities to keep this strategy working, and all that separate effort can be a headache. Now, the trick is knowing when to introduce the paid layer. It's not necessarily a time-based metric, but a signal-based one. What you want is a core group of at least 20 to 50 engaged regulars, not just a bunch of members who lurk and don't do anything. That proves your community topic has legs and that you have a large enough group of people to deliver additional value for. Meaning you know what they're asking you for, and you can develop and deliver on that thing. Now, if your upcoming paid community layer is low ticket, it can quietly live inside your free community as an upgrade, just like I'm doing right now on my community. But if you want to charge real money for your paid membership, then you'll probably need to build a sales rhythm on top of the everyday interactions in your free community. Even something as simple as a monthly open house call where free members get a taste of the paid tier, or you could offer a free strategy call to each new member. This is a common practice to onboard new community members in communities of all types, but is especially wise when people are paying for access. Now, Quick note before we move on though, there is a hidden third option, which is starting and growing a free community at first and rocking with that until you've grown it large enough that you're ready to convert it into a paid offering instead. So in other words, no new members can join for free after that point. And this isn't a bad progression. You can provide a nice incentive for your current members to lock in free or heavily discounted membership pricing, so they'll stick around after the paid tier kicks in and feel grateful for the opportunity. Now, with all that said, I do believe there's a correct answer in this free versus paid debate. And here's a hot take. A paid community should be your ultimate destination, no matter which path you're currently on. And here's the simple reason why. Because paid is where you're providing the most value and it's where you can make an actual living from your work. Full stop. Aiming for a paid community automatically sets your sights higher on what you're going to put out into the world. It's just a whole other level of giving back and sharing your talents with the world, which I think is a really good way to be. Now, the other more psychological reason I suggest aiming for paid is because it's the antidote to imposter syndrome. In another video on this channel, I talked about how I often see imposter syndrome among creators and how guilty many feel for charging for their work. It's honestly a real problem. I've suffered from it myself. And what's crazy is very few professionals deal with this kind of guilt. Does a farmer feel like they don't deserve to sell crops at a fair price? Does a lawyer waffle over sending you an invoice when they write up a contract for you or offer you legal advice? Didn't think so. What I can tell you is that in most cases across most professions, most people have no problem asking for money. But for whatever reason, it's different with creative people. We feel like we have to earn it and like we're not good enough to get paid. And the sad truth is that we can easily move the goalposts until we price ourselves out of the very work that we love to do. And that's why aiming your sights on a paid community is so important, because it's one place where you can gather all of your most devoted fans together, charge for the value you provide, and earn an ongoing reliable income. So imagine concentrating all of your super fans in one place and getting to know them and interact with them in there. It's so much deeper a relationship than you could get on the traditional social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And most importantly, you can smooth out the feast and famine experience that most creators have, where they struggle to survive until the next brand deal, or until a good video pops for some extra ad revenue, or until they culminate a year of effort into a single product launch. There's a reason why big companies like Netflix and Amazon live for subscription revenue. You don't have to be them to follow their lead though, and make your business more sustainable and profitable in the meantime. Now, like I said earlier, a paid community doesn't have to be a break the bank kind of membership for your audience. You can make the economics work with a low ticket monthly price, or blend different levels of membership to ensure that there's something for everyone in your audience. Fortunately, like I've shown you throughout this video, Sphere is a perfect platform to do this. It lets you run both the free and paid tier in one place, so you're not migrating platforms when you level up your own business. Sphere is also a great place to start because you can start your community without paying a dime up front. If this sounds interesting to you, I'll link to it in the description down below, or you can visit joinsphere.com to check it out. Conclusion. So in this video, we covered the customer journey that most creators see, which is stranger to viewer, to subscriber, to customer, to superfan. We looked at the creator community crossroads and explored how your level of commitment and your audience size determine whether you should go with a free community, a paid community, or a combination of the two. And we did a deep dive into both the established and emerging creator paths to success before I left you with my honest opinion, which is that everyone ought to aim for a paid community, even if it takes some time to get there. Now, 2 quick warnings before I wrap up here. Failure mode 1, which is going paid too early. You launch, you get 3 signups, you feel like a failure, and you quit. Failure mode 2, which is staying free forever. You spend a year building an audience you could have been charging for, you burn out, and you've got nothing to show for it. This is why knowing your customer journey and understanding the stages using the framework I just walked you through prevents both. Now, I hope this video has helped you get some clarity on the important but tricky question of whether to go with a free or a paid community. Because the reality is, for us mere mortals without hundreds of thousands of millions of followers, it's often somewhere in the middle. A free community with some paid offerings, or maybe a low ticket paid membership that attracts our biggest fans. But the important thing is to really think through that whole customer journey so that it makes sense for a potential customer to move to that next stage every step of the way. And you can easily start your own free or paid community on Sphere with all of the paid features you need for multiple membership tiers, paid courses, digital products, and so much more. So if you're interested, please be sure to check out Sphere in the description below, or go to joinsphere.com to sign up for free. And that's all I have for you on this one. If you liked it, please be sure to subscribe and drop a comment telling me which type of community you want to start with. Is it free or is it paid? And for more strategy on launching your community, I recommend you watch this video. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one.